Hey everyone, welcome to Restaurant Tech Trends, where we explore restaurant technology trends with some of the industry's biggest movers and shakers in our rapid-fire short interview format. This podcast is produced by Incept AI. Incept AI takes restaurant orders over the phone and in noisy drive-thrus with friendliness and precision. Learn more at incept.ai. Now, on to today's guest. I am joined by Greg Zamfotis, founder of Gregorys Coffee. Greg has built a specialty coffee brand known for speed, quality, and a truly tech-forward guest experience. He was early on mobile order ahead and loyalty. He's disciplined about unit economics, and he's relentless when it comes to menu innovation. Today, Gregorys Coffee is expanding formats from urban cafes to drive-thrus while keeping coffee as a social connector at the center. We're going to dive into what's happening at Gregorys, the future of tech in coffee, and what's next for this fast-growing brand. Greg, welcome to the show.
Having me.
Glad to have you here. Well, let's start with the news from August with Craveworthy. So in August, you announced that Craveworthy Brands has come in as a managing partner at Gregorys Coffee. Franchising expected to kick off this quarter. Can you break down what managing partner means day to day for you and for the brand, and why was this the right time for you to make the move?
Sure. So I kind of start at the end there. We did a large expansion over the last, 18 months. So we penetrated about 14 new markets across the country through a strategic partnership we had with Simon Property Group. And the result was we now have 54 stores nationwide, with many of these being one or two locations in a market remote from where our bread and butter is here in New York City. So we felt the best and most efficient way to grow our brand, given that expansion, was to start franchising and building out these new markets with franchise partners to do that in a effective way. And obviously from speed and cost, we thought it was the right way. Craveworthy was the strategic investor we thought would make the most sense, given their prowess when it comes to franchising, helping corporate brands scale into a franchise model. They offer a shared services platform where they have a number of executives that help through cross-utilizing their skills across the brands. So as opposed to hiring a significant amount of folks on our team to be able to enable franchising, they can do that with their team as well as supporting us around their country with their operator network. So we thought it was a no-brainer, and excited to have them on and join, help scale the brand.
It sounds like a perfect partnership. I mean, this is obviously a really big inflection period, for the brand right now. And you've got a lot going on, especially as you move into franchising and growing quickly. What today are you personally most excited about regarding the future of Gregorys?
So I think growth is always exciting, and opening new doors, meeting new people, new communities. We certainly did a lot of that over the last 12 to 18 months. There's going to be a lot more in the future. And I think building strong, resilient systems that enable us to kind of protect that magic that we had as a smaller chain, 1, 2, 5, 10 units, when we felt like we could be super nimble, really proactive and progressive in how we built our program. But there's an old saying, obviously, the bigger you get, the quality starts to deteriorate, or things aren't quite the same. We work really hard to try and buck that and say, hey, we wanted to grow, get bigger, and get better at the same time. So I think when we're smart and thoughtful about how we roll out new systems, tools, and processes to enable us to deliver that super high quality experience across a platform of stores across the country, it's a challenge that gets me up every morning and excited about how we're going to tackle these things and do it really well over the next few years.
What's interesting is brand scale, and you have to deploy all of these new different systems. It's so important to not have technology or processes get in the way of hospitality. That's something that I've talked about with quite a few guests on the podcast recently. And it reminded me of something you were talking about. You talk about coffee's role as a social connector. And I'm curious how you're able to balance sort of that very human, aspect of enjoying coffee, sharing coffee with friends or coworkers or family, how you balance that with your parallel philosophy of being a very forward-thinking, tech-driven business. Where do you draw that line so tech doesn't really get in the way of hospitality?
so many industries or businesses I would speak to where they would say, well, I want to build something that Amazon can't kill at some point. Now maybe it's I want to build something that AI isn't going to take over at some point. No offense to Incept AI, but obviously it's a super disruptive technology in the best way possible. For me, even in the throes of COVID, when there was social distancing and all these aspects, I never deviated from the thought that coffee was a third space, places that were bringing people together. And I doubled down on that. So even when you weren't quite allowed to be close, I was still building stores that were large with big seating areas. And we always truly believed that once things settled down, we would come back to the center is that people want to be together. People like to be community oriented, and coffee tends to be one of those gathering places. So we always wanted to build an environment and a community that was centered around people first. And obviously, coffee is a great impetus to bring people together. Now, you mentioned I obviously have an interest and an ability to incorporate tech when it makes sense. I always think about how can I use tool systems or technologies to amplify what we're trying to do. Are there things that we can automate? Are there tools that we can use to improve our processes or our systems so that way our people can be more connected to our guests, more connected to certain elements of the process to increase quality or expand our menu if we need to? But we've been afforded the ability to do these things by having so many amazing technologies at our fingertips these days, and also new pieces of equipment that are able to automate parts of the process where we didn't really feel that the team member necessarily was adding value at that stage of the production process.
Hmm.
So whether it's a team member pouring cold brew out of a jug into a container, doesn't look elegant, it doesn't really necessarily need pour, doesn't really change anything. If a machine can dispense that more efficiently, faster, more consistently on the volume that you're using, why not? So
Yeah.
there's decisions like that, which in the specialty coffee space are sort of dirty words, automation and using these tools. Everything is hand poured, hand this, hand that. And obviously we still keep that to a lot of what we do when it makes sense. But when it doesn't, if there's a way to use a tool to make that better and give us more ability to give attention to our guests, we're going to try and do more of that moving forward.
It makes sense. I'm curious, you mentioned the famous third space line, and obviously you've got Brian Niccol over at Starbucks making a lot of changes right now, pulling back on a lot of technologies in some cases, and really trying to double down on what Starbucks got started with. I feel like in many ways, maybe you guys were able to just like jump in and grow really fast because Starbucks had moved away from that. Are you concerned now that Starbucks is maybe pivoting a little bit more into the Gregorys Coffee lane, or not even on your radar?
They've always been there. I mean, whether they were trying to or not, I mean, they're certainly the leader in the industry with they have more spaces and they've been doing this for a long time. So they are sort of a known element in any market. They're always going to be a Starbucks, whether they're newly redesigned or they're focused on one thing or the other. They're a known element. We're able to work and stay true to who we are. Our niche is slightly different than theirs. Obviously, it's coffee is our core, both of our core products, but our approach is different. Our menus are quite different. Our menu building and how we think about food and the types of food we offer that support our coffee program. I mean, everything we fresh baked products, a vegan forward menu. It has been a night and day as to how we build our systems and our menus. So our customers are obviously used to having Starbucks in most of these markets, and I applaud them for coming back to the center, right? Because it gives more attention as to what a coffee shop experience can be.
Hmm.
We just believe we'll do it. We just believe we'll do it better, right? So, and we never really deviated where they may have said, well, let's do this, let's do that. Now we're coming back to it. We kind of stayed this lane all the time, and it's sort of who we are. And our customers, I think, understand and respect that fact that like I never really wavered in our belief that it was people first, third place. Use the bathroom if you need to. No time limits on the Wi-Fi. Go after it.
I love it. Well, we don't need to talk anymore about Starbucks. Let's pivot back to tech and just tech in restaurants and tech and coffee in general. As you've always been an early adopter of technology, it's changing faster than it's ever been changing ever before. How do you think technology is going to change the way coffee houses operate over the coming, say, 5 to 10 years? And as you look at the array of technologies that are available to you today as a brand, what one or two really excites you the most?
I think we're in sort of this sort of dawn of a new age, however corny that may sound, but
Yep.
the sorts of technologies that are being woven into the day-to-day lives of people is sort of it's hard to process just how much more people can expect and they can get from their experiences just based on the technologies afforded to us today. Obviously, couldn't be hotter if you tried. And I think there's a lot of tools now that to me, and I think the future of the next 5 to 10 years is more about personalization and less of like, I want to customize my drink, but how do I create the perfect custom experience for a guest based on what they want, right? Like I believe there's a certain point of view that a brand may have, but when you think about that, there's certain elements that, people may over-index towards, right? It's like I want a really high quality coffee experience, or I want it fast, or these are the sort of things that are really important to me.
Hmm.
How can we properly communicate to those customers and learn exactly what they want and make sure we're delivering the type of experience that they expect and that they sort of really would want to see day in and day out? It's hard for us to get that sort of data today or information today, the way that we collect it, the way that we communicate with our guests. It's much more group-based, large messaging. But I think the more bespoke we can get, not to be big brother and try and feel like we're watching your every single move, but how do we make sure we're meeting you where you're at? Like, what do you want? What are you expecting? What are the sorts of, what is the type of offer that excites you, the type of product innovation that you might be interested in, or the type of experience you might be searching for? How can we learn? How can we better personalize? How can we better customize? How can we better meet our customers where they're at? Again, without deviating from our core or our brands like us, that what's important to us are non-negotiable. But there are certain things that I think we can tune up or dial into a guest. And I think with the large language models and a lot of things that are out there, it'll allow us to be better stewards of experiences for customers if we're able to use these tools the right way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And as you were talking about personalization and creating these guest specific experiences, I couldn't help but think about all of the work that folks are doing now with CDPs. And it's just no wonder that that space is really exploding right now. A lot of folks using these platforms for menu innovation and to create those more personalized experiences. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of years. Well, we are out of time for our regular questions, Greg. So it's time to move on to our rapid fire segment. So for everyone that is watching or listening, Greg has no idea what these questions are that I'm about to ask him. The rules of engagement, Greg, are try to answer these questions with one word if you can, one sentence if you can't. Are you ready? All right. What is your favorite coffee drink to make at home?
Not coffee.
Hot
Good
black
word for
coffee.
that.
All right. Espresso shot or cold brew?
Espresso shot.
New York bagel or New York slice?
Your bagel.
All right. Who makes better coffee? You or your baristas?
Oof. Uh, yeah, I gotta say me. I've been doing this for 20 years, so I'll say I'm pro at this at this point.
All right. Got to learn from the master. What's one Gregory's menu item you'd go out of your way to get?
It'd be cheating to say our espresso, but I think our full Oat Boy is probably our most popular and one that is delicious. And whenever I decide to treat myself, that's one that is just out of control. I'll go out of my way for that one.
All right. If you could open a Gregory's in any city outside of the U.S., what city would it be?
Probably, probably Athens.
Athens?
I'm Greek. There's something about the culture there. Obviously, the heritage and also selfishly, I'd love to spend more time there too. So I'd say Athens is.
All right. And last one. What's more fun, building a new cafe or testing out new tech?
Definitely testing new tech. Building on a cafe is rewarding, but it's certainly painstaking while you're going through it. Testing new tech can be painstaking, but it's exhilarating. I think it's much more exhilarating, testing out new technologies that we're ready to go forward in the cafe.
I think you're the very first person I've talked to that said that testing new tech is exhilarating. I've heard a lot of people say it's really frustrating, but I like that. People like you are what keep the restaurant tech industry moving forward. Greg, I want to thank you for joining me here today. Everyone, this is Greg Zamfotis, founder of Gregorys Coffee. Thanks, Greg.
You